Today, we're diving deep into the work of a psychologist who pretty much turned our whole idea of learning on its head. Get ready, because this might challenge a few things you thought you knew. So let's start with a big question. Is genius born or is it built? We have this image of the lone genius, having that eureka moment all by themselves. But what if that's not the whole story? What if our greatest achievements aren't solo missions, but are actually built with a little help from our friends? Well, that's exactly what this Soviet psychologist Lev Vygotsky was getting at. Way back in the early 20th century, he came out with this pretty radical idea. Our minds aren't shaped in a vacuum. They're shaped by the people we talk to, the culture we live in, basically by everyone around us. And this gets us to his first big idea. Vygotsky believed learning isn't a solo sprint. Nope, it's much more like a team sport where we're constantly passing knowledge back and forth. He called this his sociocultural theory. And the keywords here are collaborative dialogues. This isn't about someone just lecturing you with a bunch of facts. It's about the give and take, the conversations you have with people who know a little more than you do. That's what really shapes how we think. Vygotsky himself said it best. He believed that the skills that really matter, problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, they don't just magically appear. They grow directly out of our social interactions. So, how does that actually happen? Well, this brings us to what is probably Vygotsky's most famous concept. It's this sort of magical space for learning. You could almost call it the zone of genius. The official name is the Zone of Proximal Development, or ZPD. Just think of it like this. It's the learning sweet spot. It's not the stuff you can already do easily, and it's not the stuff that's so ridiculously hard you just give up. The ZPD is that perfect little zone where a task is just out of reach, but with a little bit of guidance, you can nail it. Okay, I know that sounds a bit academic, so let's make it super simple. Let's talk about a 4-year-old named Tanya who's trying to do her very first jigsaw puzzle. So at first, Tanya is totally lost. She's just trying to force pieces together and she's getting super frustrated. The puzzle is way too hard for her to do alone. But then her dad comes over. Now, he doesn't do the puzzle for her, he just gives her a little hint, a strategy. He says, hey, why don't we find the corner pieces first? Suddenly, Tanya has a new way to think about the problem. Her dad's simple tip brought the task into her zone of proximal development. And as she starts getting it, he can back off because she's made that strategy her own. And what Tanya's father did, there's a name for that. It's called scaffolding. It's a perfect metaphor, right? Like scaffolding on a building. It's a temporary support system. The expert gives just enough help to let the learner build their own abilities. Then, once the structure is strong enough, you can take the scaffolding away. Okay, so we've seen how another person can be that scaffolding to help you learn. But Vygotsky's idea goes even deeper. He argued that our whole culture gives us these incredible tools that help shape how we think. Let me ask you a question that really gets to the core of this. Have you ever wondered why kids in some countries seem to learn how to count way faster than kids in other places? You might think it has to do with the schools or something, but Vygotsky would say the answer might be hiding in plain sight, in the language they speak. See, language is one of the most powerful tools of intellectual adaptation that a culture can give you. Let's just look at this quick comparison. In English, our number words get a little weird after 10. We have 11, 12. They don't really follow a logical pattern. But in Chinese, it's completely logical. 11 is shi, which literally means 10-1. 12 is shi, or 10-2. 21 is shi, or 2-10-1. The base 10 system is baked right into the language. It's a much cleaner, more efficient tool for thinking about numbers. And the difference this makes is, well, it's staggering. One study found that only about 4% of American 4-year-olds could count to 20. But for Chinese 4-year-olds, 40% of them could. It's not that one group of kids is smarter, it's that their culture handed them a better tool for the job. So we have experts like parents and teachers acting as guides, and we've got our culture giving us these mental tools. But Vygotsky would tell us to think even bigger about who our teachers are. Because really, that more skillful partner, that can be just about anyone. And this is so important. It's not just the official teachers in our lives. Some of our most powerful learning experiences come from our siblings and our friends. They're constantly creating these little zones of proximal development for us, sometimes without even realizing it. Think about it. The older sibling who patiently shows you how to tie your shoes, over and over again. The friend who cheers you on when you're trying to learn to ride a bike. Or the classmate who gives you that one crucial tip to beat a video game boss.
They can be amazing teachers because they're so close to our own level. They just get it.
So putting it all together, why should we care about these ideas today? Well, Vygotsky gives us this amazing framework for understanding everything from education to parenting to our own personal growth. And to really see his impact, it helps to put him side by side with the other giant in this field, Jean Piaget. Piaget saw kids as these little scientists figuring out the world all on their own, but Vygotsky saw them more like apprentices, learning the ways of their culture through others. For Piaget, development happened in universal stages. For Vygotsky, your culture could completely change how your mind develops. And their view on language? Huge difference. Piaget thought language just reflects what a kid is thinking. Vygotsky argued that language is the very thing that builds thought in the first place.
All right, so let's boil it all down. What are the big takeaways from Vygotsky? First, learning is social. It's not something you do in a box. Second, all the real growth happens in that sweet spot, that ZPD, with a little bit of support. Third, our culture gives us our mental toolkit. Fourth, anyone can be a teacher, your boss, your friend, your little brother. And finally, because of all this, learning together is one of the most powerful things we can do.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thought. This theory isn't just about how kids learn puzzles. It's about all of us, all the time. So the question for you is, what's the next skill you want to master? What's that thing that's just a little bit out of your reach? And maybe more importantly, who are you going to ask to help you get there? What's waiting for you in your zone of genius?